I seek refuge in God, the Most High, from the accursed Satan. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, and in him we seek help. May peace and blessings be upon Muhammad and his good and pure family. O God, bless Muhammad and his family and hasten their relief. Borrow with us the book The Myth of Atheism. This is what I conveyed, because why do I want to cite the sources and not convey what through intermediary? On page 361 of the book, this is his statement. He says that if we discover the comprehensive theory of the forces of physics, we will have achieved a great victory for the human mind, and then we will have understood the mind of God. On page 361 of the book, this is the phrase Muhammad and hasten their relief. My dear ones, I return to the basic financial demand, which is that these major and comprehensive matters that they mentioned have established philosophical or scientific evidence for its invalidation, validity, or invalidation, or they have not established it. Never prop. Support us. There is no scientific evidence or evidence based on it. There is no philosophical evidence. The more our scientific knowledge increases. What? Lack of need for someone. To the Creator, Designer, God and Creator. This lieutenant is where he came from. Can anyone say that this is an inherent scientific phenomenon? What is this inherent? Philosophical mindset. What is a proof blanket? Or what is the proof of my health? I don't know, my condolences are clear. I miss my dear ones, especially those who listen to us and watch us. To put the key in their hand. Actually, let them ask this question. They ask atheists. Or they supposed Duggins was asking. They ask Stephen Hawking. That's where this major came from. Where did she come from? From here I understand my consolation. Spin well. From here I understand my dears. Why? On sites. This attack on what I said is that Darwin did not see a contradiction between his theory and what? And between the Creator. Don't you know now who knows what you said? Now they put all their care into nullifying any invitation. This invitation. Because this call, if true, means that Darwin believed in this major and basic rule, or he did not believe in Maulana. Not believing means that he believed in the theory of evolution based on natural degeneration. He does not see that this contradicts the need for the Creator. It is not clear, my dears. In fact, I was surprised why those discussing Mr. Al-Hidari got their hands on what? On this single. I found that no, because this is the term if it is true of Darwin. If he doesn't see any inconsistency. I mean, they didn't believe this major thing was true. So Duggins and Stephen Hawking's whole theory collapses. Whether it is clear, my dears, is not clear. Obviously, I was able to come up with an idea, my dears. Hence some of them are mentioned. He said that this was the translation on which Mr. Al-Hidari relied. This is what I know of as manipulation. I don't know anything about it. Etc. Very good for me. We have gone elsewhere to see that it is true that Darwin. This is what we originally benefited from his book, Types. True or not true, my dears? Leave yours alone, my dear water. Regarding this issue. Spin well. There is a book that finally falls into his hand. Under the name Darwin. This is a new book, Maulana. The center that translates Maulana is one of the respected centers. National Center for Translation. Supervised by Jaber Asfour. First edition 2010. Charles Darwin, Michael Rios. Michael Rios. Introduction and translation by Dr. Fathallah Al-Sheikh. Reviewed and participated in the translation by Dr. Ahmed Abdullah Al-Samahi, Maulana. Before I convey what he said about Darwin and his religious belief, I would like, my dear ones, to be our Lord. I would like to convey a request. It is useful, my dears. On page 29. This series, my dears, is titled Great Minds. It's a great series. And great minds. It is not intended for great minds in all fields of knowledge. Great minds of philosophers. I mean, it was a Descartes. A question. What is Darwin's relationship to anxiety? What a series it is. To the great minds of him. Philosophical. So Darwin is one of them. If not one of them. No, because it is a crazy world. Scientist. Look at what he says on page 29. This is what I am writing so that you will know. This is its source. He says there, my dears. On page 13, my condolences. On page 13 of this translation. Says. Introduction. Why do we include Darwin as the father of the theory of evolution? In a series devoted to the idea of the great philosophers. We are talking about philosophers. And Darwin is one of them. Or not one of them. Not one of them. He answers. 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 Yesterday morning, this book arrived in my hands full. Praise be to God, we are from Iraq. In the morning, Maulana arrived to me. A.M. No, I swear. An hour in 2. At noon, Maulana arrived for me. I am on the road to Maulana. Any book that reaches my hand. It is necessary. Page at 2 o'clock 3 full. I see the care pages. So I ignore the general idea. Until I have enough time to read it completely. In any case, there are stronger reasons to include Darwin in the series of philosophers. Why? Rap well. He says his works in themselves. Things that require philosophical analysis. Why does it require philosophical analysis? Because scientific research is inseparable from philosophical research, there can be no difference. If you want to say there is no need for God, this is not scientific research. What is this research? Scientific research says that living species evolve according to the law of natural selection and the survival of the fittest and strongest to the next good. But you say what after you say then we do not need a creator. This is what Dawkins did. This is, then, scientific research as well as philosophical research. This is a philosophical study. Or if we need a creator. You say this, I say yes, because if we find elaborate systems, high design, and engineering that cannot be attributed to natural selection, we say what is behind it. There is an active, determined, intelligent, knowledgeable, capable, and wise person whom I do not call flattering. Is that clear? If this is our statement, then what is the result of the research? On natural search, which is search, what is it? Philosophical research, whether for denial or proof. It's amazing how well it spreads. The strange thing is that Darwin made this evidence of proving God. An essay is a neutral issue. Communicate well. We previously said that he says the phrase, what is it? Neutral regarding God and the non-existence of God. No, we don't ask, we read some phrases, he says, what is it? Ha! This indicates that this strange design cannot be attributed to coincidence. Isn't this obvious or not? So Darwin only does not see a contradiction, nor does he accept the major statement that Stephen Hawking and Duggins, our Lord, said, but rather says the opposite, which is that this strange design and these laws governing biology and species, our Lord, are evidence of the existence of what? There is a Creator who is determined. This is why there are things in his works that in themselves require philosophical analysis and carry strange philosophical issues. Darwin did not talk about philosophical issues. The answer is speak. Evolution of species smallness. Inference. What must be joined? Great inference. Isn't this obvious or not? Come with us, my condolences for the same book, Our Lord, which is Darwin, Our Lord, on page 275, my dear religious beliefs, Darwin and religion. Say dearest, God willing, you will not tire me, our Lord. Here we continue the search. Good. He said, and Darwin was not aware. This is page 270 of the book. Darwin never felt like an atheist. Never. He never called for atheism. Never. Amazing. Based on the grand rule founded by Duggins and Stephen Hawking. What must it be? He must call for atheism. He says atheism because there is what? Conflict between interpretation and what? And between the need for God and the Creator. He later became an agnostic. But first what? The benefit. Just like everyone else of his scientific class, and by the mid-1830s he was as good as he could get. Darwin's description is useful. Yes, he is a deist, he does not believe in prophecies. Important. He doesn't think what? With miracles. Important. He does not believe in religions. It is important because we are now experiencing atheism. It is not that he believes in prophecies and does not. Rather, he believes in God and the Lord, or he does not believe. This is now, this is our Maulana, this is after this is after what our Maulana imagined. What from the seminary of Al-Umiyya, from whom? From the seminary of Al-Azhar, Maulana, when the founders of Al-Azhar say, Cub, this is what they want for their own good. Michael Rios, Maulana, says. What is this, neutrally? What? This says what Darwin believes in God. He says he is a deist, a person who believes that God is the engine that sets the world in motion. It is a stable constant. This is the same theory, remember. We said that the first matter existed azalea and gave it movement from. That is why we said that we should base our support on what? To the proof of the first mover, Maulana. The world was stable. Who created the movement in him? This is the Lord, this is God. He says he made everything go according to a law that cannot be deviated from. Never. Until he says, and it seems that deism was Darwin's position while writing The Origin of Enlightenment. And this is what we read, what's at the end of what? Phrases on page 5, 8, and 5 years what? 5, 5 and 9. What made some people angry is that he is a master. Why does the one who knows God say Darwin is our Lord? I said between me and God. I don't mean the meaning, the conventional meaning is irrelevant. He says what? Little or no take, he said. All of these indicate that there is what? The Creator is the one who breathed what? Breathe life into it. To be more consistent with what we know of the laws imprinted by the Creator on matter. This is the same theory as who? R's theory. This is his phrase from now on. He says that deism appears to have been Darwin's position while writing on the origin of species. Immediately after the appearance of this book, he admitted to someone that he could not see God in the details, but he still believed that there was something behind everything. After phrases or put these phrases. I do not see the need to believe that the eye is to the end. But I think there is what? Existence, yes. This Lord is good. What are his characteristics? Is it an absolute world? To the world of what? Not absolute. Is he wise to the unwise? Is he evil to him? What? Goodness. These are other studies related to characteristics. It has nothing to do with what? This meaning is clearly consoling. I found it in the phrases of. In the words of Abbas Mahmoud al-Akkad in his book The Beliefs of the Thinkers, my consolation. Then tell me, our master, why do you rely on Abbas Mahmoud al-Akkad? Perhaps this is the answer. First, prove the case from which book is Maulana. From Darwin's book Maulana means Great Minds series. There is my consolation in this phrase. He says on page 44. As for Darwin, he never claimed that proving evolution denies the existence of God. He never said that evolution explains the creation of life. Do you remember what we said earlier about Ismail Mazar? What did they say? A sentence. They said. Where did the equation start? From a living cell. Before the living cell was silent, what? He kept silent about it. Our master, Ismail Mazar, says that perhaps he wants to draw fire into his circle. Our Lord, this is the book of our Lord, and among those who believe in the theory is the grand cosmic prize, the mystery of the suitability of the cosmos to life. On page 235, this is his statement. He says that one of the things that adds more mystery to this debate is the failure to differentiate between the evolution of life and the emergence of life. Many of those who researched Darwin's theory of evolution say they did not distinguish between the origin of life and what? The origin of life is one thing and the development of life is what? Another thing. In other words, how did life begin in the first place? Darwin himself avoided any reference to the origin of life. Why? Because he could explain it through the law of natural selection or he could not. That's why he started from any step Maulana. From a living cell. This is what we read to the dear ones. He says, and that is when he said, we still have to ponder how matter appears. There is recognition that the origin of life remains a mystery. Who must answer this? Who is he? Dow Jones must answer him. Because Darwin solved the problem for him. If the problem was not solved, he said, life will end. The tunnel of life into matter is salvation. As for Stephen Hawking in my book, design must tell us what. Therefore, God willing, after that, I will now convey to you the time after he started harassing our Lord. Stephen Hawking tried to reduce the value of life. He said there is no value to life until you ask how it is transformed. Why? Did he go in this direction and find that he finds an explanation for it and does not find one? That's why it made it an emergency, incidental, marginal, and worthless matter. Even if we do not find an explanation for it that affects the theory or does not. I will read this phrase to you next. Although basically the value of existence is what? With life. Assets other than life have value and their value does not increase. They are all worth it if you find them. What? This is research and I have now forgotten what I imagine. He says a puzzling mystery, but this cannot be taken as an argument against Darwinian evolution. Yes, He tells someone to answer the theory because he could not explain how a non-living cell turned into a living cell. Because Darwin's theory does not talk about how non-living things moved to living things. She even says because she couldn't that the theory is invalid. He says no no no. This problem does not apply to Darwin. And the truth is with him. Right with him. Paul Daviesy. Paul Davies, Maulana, is a very big personality, Maulana. God willing, after that, I will read its translation to you. Clear so far, my condolences. Look what he says. His main point is that evolution explains the multiplicity of animal and plant species. At the conclusion of his book on the origin of species, he says, this is what we have read. He turned well. In the year 1878. I mean, 9 years before Fatal. 1082. He had previously written to a Dutch student who asked him the same question. He said that it is impossible to imagine this great, wondrous universe with our poetic souls in it. In my opinion, it is the strongest proof of the existence of God. He says that you are looking at this ruling design in the world after the covenant of my condolences. On whom? Ali al-Akkad, who transmits and mentions the books, is our Lord. He says he wrote about such and such to a Dutch student who asked him, and he mentions the books by Maulana. He said about such and such, and he said about such and such. The book is our Lord. All in English Maulana. I mean, I couldn't find it in Arabic so I could copy it. But I could never decide the value of this proof, he says. He says there is standing proof of this. But this proof is correct. But or not true. I searched. He turned well. The student asked again and asked for details. Dara wrote to him about this woman and told Afzal that he saw no evidence of revelation. He does not deny what he denies God. He does not deny the revelation. He denies prophecies. He denies miracles. He is what he is, a deist, as he said, what, as Michael Rios, our Lord, said. I do not know whether it is clear or dear. He says, so he wrote to him that he does not see evidence of revelation, and that faith and research says, so he wrote to him that he does not see evidence of revelation, and that belief in resurrection is the desire of everyone who wants to take his belief in it among the conflicting possibilities. So he only denies revelation, otherwise what? Otherwise, the day of resurrection. The last of our opinions on this subject is a letter he sent to so-and-so, the author of the book The Doctrine of Science, in the year 1800. His name is Ani, meaning the year before his death. You expressed the internal doctrine that the universe did not result from some sources. Could this universe result from what? About coincidence. What is meant by coincidence? I mean, there is no reason for it, because the coincidence in Darwin's words, Maulana, has no reason for it. Unfortunately, I do not know whether you are prepared for it so we can continue the search. Maulana says it did not result from a coincidence, then he returned to wondering what is the value of this doctrine in my proof until he said, and what is important in this regard is the end of it here, my dears, here is the good conquest. Here there is the colleague, the conquest is good. A colleague of Darwin, a contemporary of him, and a friend of his whose name is Wallace. Wallace is my dear enemies. Wallace in the World Arabic Encyclopedia. This is his translation on page 32. Wallace Alfred Russell 1823–1913 is a British naturalist and discoverer, and the nationality is Asida after that. He turned well and independently to the explanations of evolution, as Darwin did, our Lord, and from here there is research that Darwin was a predecessor to Wallace, or Wallace stole it from Darwin, and on this he expresses it independently, and what is nice is that here too we find this meaning clearly, our Lord, on page 29 there in Darwin's book, Our Lord, he says, and in the 1850s, Darwin turned again to the problem of organic change and began writing a huge work on evolution. This work was interrupted in the summer of 1858, which is when the book was published. 1859 he says his work was interrupted. Why do you know? He received a letter from Wallace. He found the same father saying he exists when he remained confused. So, for this, our Lord folded everything aside. In 15 months before Wallace published anything, our Lord wrote, "What is the Book of Masters of Sorts? Even if it was written after him, they say it was stolen from. Who is this here that exists?" And this is an important issue. Now there is no reply that interferes in its history. On page 29, he says, and who was present at that time, Wallace's unique head actually touched on the same ideas that had guided Darwin. About 20 years ago, he says, Maulana began to spread as articles about Wallace's Maulana, so my theory became in vain. He worked on it for 20 years, he says, and from here he says that when Darwin retreated for 15 months, he published near the end of 59 what was known as his specific statement on the subject and the objection of natural selection, Maulana. Now this theory is either Wallace's or Darwin's, or either of them's, reached what it is, but this is the introduction. Why did you mention the pride of this point? Leave your mind in the right direction. Wallace, what does he say about Darwin's belief in the Creator God? So it appears that messages were exchanged between God and the two people. Research engineering must be distinguished in this way. Get me started. This is quoted on page 44 of the book The Doctrines of Thinkers. Wallace said in his book The World of Life, speaking about Darwin's belief in God. What did he say? It seems that he has come to one conclusion. From Darwin. It is that the universe could not have existed without a rational cause. Just this one. And return to Block On and his name. And return to it. He says it is not possible. But realize this reason. Yes, Darwin said he believed there was a rational cause. But what is its peculiarity? What are its characteristics? He says no, they didn't know about it. These differences exist even among Shiite scholars, as well as Muslim scholars as well as scholars of divine religions. What is a strong agreement in the divine attributes? Not between me and God. Someone says they do such and such, but understanding this cause in any complete way is superior to the understanding of the human mind. Then Wallace comments on the saying, who? According to Darwin's saying that I give this consideration all my sympathy and feeling. However, I believe that we are able to glimpse some of the hidden power that operates in nature. It helps us to overcome the extreme difficulty that prevents us from knowing the truth of the Creator, who has no beginning and no end. If two scientists who believe in the theory of evolution are revealed, they will see that it is incompatible with belief in the Creator God, or whether it is not incompatible. It's clear how. This is why Abbas Mahmud al-Aqid, our master, on page 46. This is his phrase. He says that I am the proponent of the doctrine of evolution as it became popular in the last half of the 19th century. He did not rely on evolution in denying religious beliefs. He did not claim that explains the secret of life or the secret of the universe. Then they convey an important hobby. Brothers, Maulana, if they respond, we will return to page 46. He says that 200 scholars asked them this question. What do you say? Is there a connection between the Darwinian theory of evolution and denying the Creator or not? From various astronomical, biological, mathematical and physical sciences. They asked them this question. 200 characters. He says that they are brought to them by scientists who are the largest scientists known for their stature in various specializations, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and life sciences. Do you think that believing in the doctrine of evolution agrees with or contradicts believing in the existence of distraction? He replied in the affirmative, 142 out of 200, Maulana. They said that it is not contradictory, but rather this is what they are. Harmonious. Every problem. 52 answered hesitantly, as Darwin concluded, what? Here in the end of his life. The woman answered in the negative, saying that the two beliefs do not agree. I mean it. For the founders. They agree. They agree. They agree. They agree. They agree. They agree.